The game ended hours ago, maybe even days ago, and yet there's still one thing you're sitting on the back of your mind. An objective you didn't finish, a play you were two moves away from pulling off, an engine that was almost there. You're not thinking about whether you won or lose, you're thinking about the things you didn't get to achieve. That is not being obsessive. That is your brain doing exactly what designers want you to do. Last week, we talked about near-miss effect, how losing a game can actually feel like winning at that moment, right at the table. Today is about what happens after you leave the table, why a certain game follows you home, and why a certain game all of a sudden jump to your head on a Tuesday morning when you're showering, and why that feeling is the most powerful tools a game designer has. It's called ZEIGARNIK effect, and once you see it, you can see it everywhere. So let's get started. In the 1920s, a Soviet psychologist named Luma ZEIGARNIK noticed something odd about waiters in a restaurant. They could remember every detail of an order they hadn't delivered yet, every modification, every special request. But the moment the food hit the table and the task was complete, they forgot it almost instantly. She took that into the lab and confirmed it. Our brain hold on to unfinished tasks far more powerful than completed ones. Unfinished tasks, however, stays active. They stay quietly in the background, waiting to be resolved. Your brain treats them like an open loop, and your brain doesn't like it. That is the ZEIGARNIK effect. By the way, if I pronounce the name wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's not right. And board game is almost perfect designed to exploit it. Here's what makes board games uniquely powerful for this effect. Almost every game, interesting game, give you an engine you build but won't quite finish, a strategy you're executing but never get to see fully realized, an objective you're chasing right up until the last round. And then the game ends. The task isn't done, but the game ends. And here's the thing, your brain doesn't care the game is over. It only knows that the open loop stayed open and it keeps running. It keeps processing. It keeps asking, what would I have done differently if I had one more turn? Or what would I have achieved if I have one more turn? That is why the game is still in your head 3 days later. What does it mean for board games? ZEIGARNIK effect show up in two ways in board games, in my opinion. Of course, if you see there's more, feel free to write in the comments so we can start a conversation. The first one, it is a secret objective. A secret objective, probably the purest form of this effect. There's a task only you know about, which only you can feel the pull of it. You're not just engaged with the game, you are also engaged with a private objective that nobody else can see. That dual layer of engagement is incredibly powerful, and when the game is end before you can complete it, that private unfinished task is the one that lingers longest. Next one is incomplete engines. In my opinion, engine building games are almost perfect design for ZEIGARNIK effect. You spend the whole game constructing something, and the engine works. But at the end of the game, it will never be fully finished because there's always one more card you could have added, more combo you're 2 rounds away from triggering. The incompleteness, it is the point. It is what pulls you back for the next session. So how does it mean for our board game design? We designed Fintastic Sea and Wanderlust. They both have secret objective. And when we design this objective, we don't ask ourselves, is this objective fun to play? But rather, is this objective feel incomplete enough to survive until the end of the game? Because there's a version of an objective that gets completely too easily, and that moment it's done, it disappears, the loop closes, the ZEIGARNIK effect vanishes, and there's a version that is so hard the player feels like I can never do this, it's impossible, so the player disengage, and you as a designer, you need to find a sweet spot to balance it to the point that it is almost achievable. The next time when a game won't leave your head, you know what is happening in your brain. It is designed this way. There's open loop, an unfinished task your brain is still trying to resolve. And it's going to keep running until you finally break it down at the table. If you have any other examples how ZEIGARNIK affect work in board game industry or board game design, leave us a comment and follow the channel. We constantly posting content like this, dive deep into game design and game psychology, and I'll see you next week. Bye!